Welcome back. Joining me now is senior running back Nick Kukuc and senior defensive lineman Joe Orozco. Guys, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Nick, we'll start with you. Obviously a tough loss to the Wildcats, but you still got to be proud of the season, the way the Cardinals fought all year.
Absolutely. We did a lot of great things. Unfortunately, we came up short. They were a great team. We've battled great teams throughout the season, and I think we represented our conference well in the playoffs.
You know, and Joe, it was the second straight West Coast trip for you guys. That's tough for even a professional team. How was back-to-back trips affecting you guys on the field, do you think?
You know, when you get on a plane and you travel that long of a distance, it kind of wears on, you know, your legs a little bit. But, you know, we tried as hard as we could to stay focused. You know, we kept saying, you know, it's a business trip, it's a business trip, you know. And our coaches did a great job of keeping us mentally focused throughout the entire, you know, trip and everything. So. You
know, and you guys did a great job of in-game adjustments. Linfield was able to put on a lot of points in the first half, but in the second half, the defense seemed to really stiffen up, and you guys almost gave the Cardinal fans something to cheer about there in the third quarter with a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, I definitely think we stepped up our physical play in the second half, and that's kind of what we pride ourselves on throughout the entire season. We definitely stepped up our physical play, and you know, we started just executing, which is what we kind of didn't do in the first half. You know, getting to where we needed to be, and you know, doing what we needed to do. So.
And Nick, it was a year of success for you and the offensive unit. I mean, you broke records. Did you even look at all the records you've broken this year, as far as, you know, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, scoring points in a season? Are you aware of all that?
I am. You know, you try not to think about it, so you're not, you know, getting a big head about anything as an athlete. But you know, all those records just shows how great of an offensive front we had, how great the scout team was in preparing us. You know, how great the wide receivers were at catching the ball and making the defense worried about getting beat deep, how well Spencer threw the ball to him. Mm-hmm. So it all works together. You know, there's no one person or one thing that makes, you know, the running game work. All those records are because of all the other 10 guys on the field and all the guys on the scout team.
Well, those guys definitely helped you out this year. Records are made to be broken, and the offense proved that this year. We take a look at how they rewrote the record books in this season's top offensive moments. Number 5 in our offensive moments is Juliano Fuentes, looking like a number 1 on his 47-yard touchdown catch against the Wheaton College Thunder, his longest catch of the season. If you like number 5, you're sure to love number 4, as Patrick Mitchell made his 1 reception on the year count when he hauled in a 47-yard touchdown grab against Elmhurst. Jordan Tassio had plenty of memorable moments with 14 rushing touchdowns on the season, but none more impressive than his 56-yard scamper down the sideline against North Park that puts him at number 3 on our list. Spencer Stanek and Jeff Stolzenberg combined for the number 2 moment, as their 54-yard touchdown connection in the opening round of the playoffs was the longest passing play of the year. Nick Kukuc claims the top spot of offensive moments, breaking the single-season school records for rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and scoring. He shows what he did best all season long on his first carry against Illinois Wesleyan. So, Nick, you say it all year that it's really about the offensive unit and as a whole, and you got to be pleased. Even though Spencer had a tough game against Linfield, he's really came on strong this year, stepping up in a big position.
Absolutely. He's done wonderful things for the program. He had a great spring ball. He really showed the greatness he can achieve throughout the season. You know, unfortunately, you know, a couple things got bounced the wrong way in the first game. In the last game, we ended up getting flustered as a unit. Mm-hmm. But he's done great things, and you know, next year when he comes back, he's going to achieve even greater.
Yeah, the turnovers were definitely tough, and the defense. You guys had your share of turning the ball over on the other team this year as well, Joe. Talk about the defensive seniors. Now, not just yourself, but Joey Michaels, Josh Mitchell. Those guys really meant a lot, it seems like, to this program.
Yeah, you know, guys like that, like there's great leaders and great examples for all the younger guys on the team, and you know, putting in time in the film room, you know, weightlifting and stuff like that. You know, that inspired all the other, you know, younger kids to buy into the program, and that kind of what helped us, because we didn't have a lot of seniors this year, so we needed a lot of help from the younger kids. And that's kind of, I feel like that's why they kind of stepped up.
Nick, you've been one of the senior leaders on offense, but right there in the backfield with you was Jordan Tassio. He was obviously hobbled a little bit towards the end of the season with the injury, but you got to hand it to him to gut it out and go out there and play. He basically was doing it for his teammates, he said.
Absolutely. You know, that means a lot to everybody on the team that he was able to do that. You know, the injury he had wasn't, you know, it wasn't a sprained ankle. It was pretty severe, and for what he did, the pain he had to go through to do what he did, meant a lot to everybody, and it made everybody fight that much harder.
All right, well, keep it right here because after the break, we continue to break down the season and look at what's in store for next year. Don't go away.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back. With me still are Cardinal seniors Nick Kukuc and Joe Orozco. Joe, let's start with you this time. You know, the defense coming into the season, one of the question marks was probably the defensive line. You guys lost a lot of stellar players like Willie Hayes, Valente Garza, Pete Bulander, but the defensive line really came into its own this year, it seems like.
Yeah, the defensive line, we're always getting challenged by the coaches. You know, every game we always say it's on the D-line. The D-line's going to win this game no matter what. And I think the younger guys embraced it. They took the challenge and, you know, they had played with a chip on their shoulder, and we made some great plays this year.
You guys call yourselves the firemen for a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you know, you will be gone next year, but a lot of those guys are going to be back. I don't think that's going to be a question mark next season with some of the players you have returning.
Yeah, you know, all across the board, I mean, there's going to be playmakers. And I would say that our D-line is one of the strongest D-line probably in the country in terms of absolute strength and everything like that. And they're all gym rats, and they work hard in the weight room, and they really care about this program. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have probably the best D-line in the country next year.
Well, hopefully they can prove that. And one of the better things on the offensive side this year, Nick, was the receiving unit. Normally you guys have focused in on one, maybe two receivers in the past, but really this year it seems there are like 4 or 5 guys that are all going to be back contributing next year.
Absolutely. You know, Spencer's got a lot of talent to work with for next year. You know, Chad, you have Pete, you have Jeff, you have all those guys, Ryan, Rezak. These guys can make plays, especially like Ryan Rezak. He's a little guy, but he'll go up in the middle, he'll jump up and catch a ball, and he's going to trust that, you know, the quarterback's throwing it in the right spot, and he's going to catch it regardless if he's going to get hit or not. And that's how all the receivers are. They've all got big play abilities. Chad, you know, his knack for the last few games of the year was, you know, catch every 4th or 3rd down conversion pass. You know, Pete's got the spectacular catches, you know, from the beginning of the season, and they're all going to get better. That's the thing. They're all going to get bigger and stronger. They're toothpicks right now. And next year,
they're not all gym rats like Joe, I guess.
Right. But next year it's gonna be a totally different story.
And you mentioned Rezak. I mean, he is a little bit of a mighty mouse in him, I guess. He's not afraid to catch those balls over the middle. But the taller guys like Peter Sorensen, Jeff Stolzenberg, they really add some height to your receiving core.
Absolutely. Those guys, I mean, they're all above 6'2", and they all have the ability to jump. They can jump high. And when you have that, you know, ability, all you have to do in, you know, the red zone or in certain situations, sometimes you just got to throw the ball in the air and trust that they're going to make a play, which they all can.
And you had a couple backups this year that didn't see the field too much because of the performance you and Jordan had, but Ryan Kent, Matt Randolph, those guys are really going to be stellar in the future because you guys are going to have some good offensive linemen back, especially Greg Whalen, who was a CCIW first all-team.
Yeah, those guys are going to work hard over the summer. They've got some things to learn, but it's nothing that can't be taught. You know, they're learning everything from the coaches. They're taking, you know, what they're being taught. They just need to apply it now, in which, you know, a lot of it's just going to be learned in the weight room.
And speaking of the weight room, Joe, back to you at the defense. You know, the secondary is going to have a lot of guys back. I mean, you look at this defense, and you guys are going to return about 8, 9 starters. Talk about the way Shane Durkin, Connor Douglas, Nick Slezak, those guys have been able to really perform, especially Nick switching from wide receiver to defensive back.
Well, that goes back to the hard work in the film room, knowing what routes are going to come with certain formations, knowing where they like to send certain guys, who their favorite receivers are, things like that. You know, especially a guy like Nick making that transition. That's not an easy thing to do, and the only way to make that transition is to study film, study scouting reports. You know, spend time with Coach Ponks, like break down why do offenses do this. You know, things like that. And like I said, they've done a really tremendous job of doing that all year.
And what's it say about your defensive coaches to be able to not only notice that Nick has that potential, but then to help a player transition so easily and so effectively?
The defensive coaches, I mean, all of our coaches are great, but our defensive coaches, they really make sure that you know everything that you're doing. They will never send you out there without having, you know, being uncertain on something. And if you have questions, they're going to help you, you know, because they want you to learn, they want you to succeed, and they're going to put you in the best positions to do that.
What are you going to miss most about this defense?
Oh, man, just the intensity of it. Like, you know, it's real impressive when you see on film, you know, 10 or 11 guys are on the football every single play. And that's one thing we do really well is we run to the football, and so that just demoralizes teams. Especially late in the fourth quarter, you still got everyone flying to the ball, and it's almost like you suffocate them, and that's what I'm going to miss the most.
Nick, real quick, what are you going to miss most about working on with the Cardinal offense?
You know, I think what I might miss the most is the big playability. You know, we've got such a great family atmosphere that it's more exciting to see your teammates score and succeed more than yourself. You know, like against Cal Lutheran, seeing Jeff, you know, catch the one long ball, you know, it was 50 yards or whatever it was. It's more exciting to see that than scoring yourself, and I think that's what I'm going to miss the most.
Well, it was exciting watching you guys all year. Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank all the coaches, players, and fans that helped make this season of the Red Zone a success. You can stay up to date on all Cardinal sports by visiting northcentralcardinals.com. I'm Mark Dahlquist. We'll see you next season on the Red Zone.